In the final, fading moments of the planet Nero, a brilliant scientist named Zari Okandi made a choice that would echo across galaxies. As the planet's core collapsed and its sun turned violent, she placed her infant son into a star-powered escape pod. She whispered his true name, a name of light and hope. Solarian, my son-born one. With a silent prayer, the pod shot into the cosmos. A single spark of life fleeing a world that was crumbling into stardust. That spark landed in a field just outside Atlanta, Georgia. It was found by Daryl and Monique Carter, a kind couple who couldn't believe their eyes. Inside, the strange craft was a baby boy, his tiny dreadlocks flecked with what looked like pure, glowing light. They didn't know his celestial origins, but they knew he was a gift. They named him Solomon Carter. As Sol grew up, it became clear he was different. He wasn't just strong. He could lift a car without breaking a sweat. He wasn't just fast. He could outrun the wind itself. He was invulnerable. He could fly. And he possessed an arsenal of incredible abilities: heat vision, super hearing, even freeze breath. But there was something more, something unique to him. When his powers flared, his dreads would glow with a brilliant energy, and he could unleash blinding blasts of solar light from his palms. Under the sun, his very skin seemed to hum with a powerful aura. His foster parents, Daryl and Monique, saw his extraordinary gifts not as a source of fear, but as a profound responsibility. They taught him humility, compassion, and the unwavering importance of using his power with purpose. They grounded him, molding the superpowered boy into a good man. On his 16th birthday, during a solar eclipse, the artifact that brought him to Earth awakened. A holographic image of his birth mother flickered to life. Zari Okande's voice, carried across time and space, revealed his true heritage. He was from Niru, a world where life itself was intertwined with the energy of its sun. He learned that he wasn't created as a weapon, but designed by evolution to be a guardian. A protector who thrived under the light of stars. As the message faded, his foster father placed a hand on his shoulder and said words that would define his future. "It doesn't matter where you came from, son. What matters is who you choose to be." From that moment, Solomon embraced his dual identity. He trained relentlessly, mastering flight until he could break the sound barrier. His glowing dreads leaving golden streaks across the sky. He honed his heat vision, sharpened his senses, and learned to control the immense solar energy within him. To honor both his homes, he created a symbol, blending the Nurian suncrest with the African Adenkra symbol guy Niam, signifying the supremacy of the divine. Atlanta, and soon the world, began whispering of a new protector, Solarius, the sun-born guardian. His first great test arrived from the stars. A ruthless Neurian warlord descended upon Earth, declaring it his new kingdom. Panic gripped the city as his alien ships cast dark shadows over Atlanta. But then a figure rose to meet them. Muscular, steady, his head crowned with blazing, radiant dreads. The warlord sneered, "You are the lost Sunchild. Kneel before me." Solarius floated forward, his fists glowing with condensed solar power. "I kneel to no darkness," he declared. The sky erupted into a battlefield. Solarius was a force of nature. His strength shattered the warlord's meteor-like projectiles. His heat vision carved through enemy drones. His flight created sonic booms that cracked the clouds. His solar aura lit up the darkened city like a second sun. Finally, with a powerful roar, he unleashed a blinding, white-gold solar blast from his palms. The blast struck the warlord's flagship, sending it careening back into the depths of space, forcing a retreat. The world saw more than just a hero that day. They saw hope embodied in light. Solarius became a global symbol. He wasn't just known for his power, but for his heart. He was there for every crisis, a guardian for the vulnerable, and a champion for communities that felt forgotten. Every sunrise charged him with new strength, and every person he saved reminded him why he fought. Now, whenever a radiant figure with glowing locks soars into the sky, the world looks up, not with fear, but with gratitude, and they say, "There goes the sunborn." Atlanta finally had a guardian. Months after defeating a ruthless warlord, Solomon Carter, now known to the world as Solarius, fully embraced his role as Earth's protector. But with new power came new challenges, and a threat far greater than anything he had ever imagined was just beginning to stir. Solomon knew he needed more than just strength. He needed a symbol, something to remind people that hope still shines, even in the darkest of times. He worked with his trusted friend, Monique, a brilliant tailor. Using the last remnants of Neurian fabric from his escape pod, they forged a suit that was a perfect blend of his earthly and extraterrestrial heritage. The armor plating was a striking mix of deep black and shimmering gold. On his chest, a crest glowed brightly, a fusion of the Guy name symbol and the Neurian sun. And his cape, infused with solar thread fibers, was a marvel. When he flew, it flowed behind him like a trail of pure light, shimmering from gold to a brilliant white, leaving a radiant streak across the sky. The children of Atlanta gave him a nickname, the Lighthouse. To the rest of the world, he was simply Solarius. For weeks, a strange peace settled over the city. Crime rates dropped. Disasters were averted before they could even begin. Solarius moved faster than rumors, arriving before despair had a chance to take hold. But then, the sun itself began to change. One afternoon, while soaring high above the clouds, Solarius felt a sudden, sharp tightness in his chest. His powers flickered, just for a moment. He paused, hovering mid-air, feeling the sunlight grow thinner, colder. His glowing dreads dimmed. "Something's wrong with the sun," he murmured. That night, astronomers confirmed his fears. A massive, unnatural object, a metallic sphere the size of a small moon, was orbiting our sun. And it was feeding on its energy. The very next day, it arrived. A tremor shook the sky as the colossal sphere descended towards Earth. Its surface pulsing with angry red cracks, like the veins of a dying star. Solarius shot upward to meet it, his cape blazing behind him like a torch against the darkening sky. The sphere cracked open and a towering figure emerged, dripping molten metal and wearing a cracked obsidian helmet. He hovered over the city, his voice rumbling like a collapsing star. "I am Umbrax, the Sun Eater. Let this world burn dim." Instantly, Solarius felt a creeping weakness as Umbrax began to drain the sun itself. But he raised his chin, defiant. "You picked the wrong world." The battle exploded in mid-air. Solarius lunged, his fists igniting with white-hot solar energy. Umbrax countered with waves of star-absorbing darkness. Their collisions sent shockwaves that shattered windows for miles around. Solarius became a blur of motion, his super speed creating glowing arcs of light around his enemy. His heat vision burned through the oppressive darkness, while his incredible strength slammed Umbrax high into the stratosphere. His cape glowed brighter with every move, reacting to the raw solar energy surging through his body. But with each passing second, the sun weakened. Umbrax was draining it faster and faster. Solarius crashed onto a rooftop, panting, his glowing dreads flickering like dying embers. Umbrax's voice boomed. "You cannot win, Sunborn. Your power is mine." Solarius clenched his fists, a new resolve hardening in his eyes. "Then I'll light myself." He closed his eyes, feeling the earth beneath him. He thought of his parents, of the people he'd sworn to protect, of the light he carried within. He reached deep inside himself, tapping into his solar core, the living star energy unique to Nurian physiology. His entire body ignited. His dreads flared into golden fire. His suit began to glow like a newborn star, and his cape transformed into a blinding beam of light, whipping behind him like a radiant comet's tail. He rose into the sky, his voice echoing with cosmic power. "I am the son of two worlds." He flew faster than ever before, a golden projectile breaking through Umbrax's darkness and punching straight into the Star Devourer's chest. His solar aura erupted in a white gold explosion. Umbrax screamed as his armor melted away, cracks spreading across his form. Solarius raised both palms and unleashed his ultimate ability, blinding dual solar blast, brighter than lightning, brighter than anything Atlanta had ever witnessed. Umbrax's body shattered into burning fragments that disintegrated into harmless dust. And just like that, the sun brightened. The sky turned a brilliant gold. Solarius drifted gently back to earth, his cape glowing softly like a rising dawn. But Umbrax's defeat was only the beginning. In the days that followed, scientists reported strange cosmic signals from deep space. Something ancient had awakened. Something was searching for the sun-born guardian. And far away, in a star system beyond human maps, a voice whispered, "The child of Nuru has risen. Prepare the others." As Solarius stood atop a skyscraper, his cape glowing in the night breeze, he knew his destiny was calling, and he would answer it with light. After the defeat of Umbrax, the world hailed Solarius as a savior. Murals of him, cape blazing, fists glowing with power, covered walls from Atlanta to Accra. But something inside him had changed. His powers had grown stronger, his connection to the sun deeper, and his dreads, they had transformed. Where they once hung to his shoulders, they now flowed past his waist, long, thick dreadlocks infused with pure solar energy, shimmering like braided strands of starlight. When he flew, they trailed behind him like glowing comets, leaving streaks of gold across the sky. But with greater power came greater danger. Late one night, while patrolling over Atlanta, his long, glowing dreads whipping behind him, he heard something impossible. A heartbeat. Not from Earth, not from any human. It was coming from space. A rhythmic, thunderous drumbeat that pulsed like a cosmic war cry. His senses sharpened, his solar aura activating on its own. Something was calling him. But a demand: return, reclaim, rise. Solarius closed his eyes, his body trembling. For the first time since arriving on Earth, he felt like he wasn't alone in the universe. The next morning, an object entered the atmosphere like a burning star. Solarius raced toward it, his dreads glowing bright as he cut through the sky. He caught the falling capsule just before it crashed, froze. Inside was a young woman with obsidian skin, glowing tattoos, and long, shimmering braids similar to his own. Her eyes opened, bright gold like living suns. "You're Nurian," Solarius whispered. She stepped out weakly. "I am Zaran, last of the Solar Tribunal, and you are the lost heir." Solarius frowned. He'd never heard of any heir, Zaran continued. Nuru is not entirely gone. A fragment survived the solar citadel, drifting in dark space. But it has been conquered by something ancient, something that wants you. Solarius felt that cosmic drumbeat again, stronger now, more demanding. Zeron spoke a name that seemed to darken the sky. Necrux, the Eclipsed One, a being older than suns, a devourer of light. The same entity Umbrax once served. A chill ran through Solarius's solar core. Necrox wanted him alive, not to kill him, but to corrupt him. You are the Sunborn, Zarin said. Your power can reignite worlds or destroy them. The message was clear. If Necrox took Solarius, the universe would fall into an endless eclipse. For days, Zarin trained Solarius in forgotten Neurian techniques. His long dreads glowed brighter with each session, wrapping around him like living cables of energy. He learned solar channeling, pulling power directly from starlight. He mastered stellar vision, seeing energy signatures miles away. He strengthened his light blasts, shaping them into beams, waves, and explosive bursts. His solar aura expanded, glowing like a fiery halo. His dreads lengthened further, now nearly touching his ankles, each lock glowing like molten gold. Solarius felt more connected to his heritage than ever, but Zaran warned him, power without control is eclipse. On the fifth night, the sun dimmed again. A massive shadow crawled across its surface. Stars flickered out. Animals cried out. Oceans shifted. And then he appeared. A colossal figure of black armor and burning purple eyes stepped through a tear in the sky. Towering like a living eclipse, Necrox, his voice made buildings vibrate. Sunborn Solarian, come to me. Zarin fell to her knees under the pressure, but Solarius rose into the sky, cape blazing, his dreads flaming like 100 golden whips. If you want me, come claim me. The confrontation was apocalyptic. Solarius struck first with a massive solar blast. Crox absorbed it and laughed. Solarius flew in with a speed so intense it cracked the air, his long dreads spiraling like burning tendrils. He punched, kicked, unleashed heat vision, solar waves, but Necrox countered effortlessly. The brighter Solarius glowed, the darker Necrox grew. The more his aura expanded, the thicker Necrox's shadow became. They were opposites, light and void, life and eclipse. Necrox slammed Solarius into the ground, creating a crater miles wide. Your light is beautiful, he boomed. It will make my eclipse eternal. Solarius wiped blood from his lip, breathing hard, his dreads floating around him like serpents of fire. Then let this light blind you. Solarius rose into the air, calling on everything inside him. His solar core ignited. His dreads burned so brightly they turned almost white, as if spun from pure starlight. His cape expanded into a radiant banner of sunfire, and then he transformed. He entered solar ascension mode, a godlike state no Neurian had reached in centuries. His voice thundered. Necros, the sun, stands against you. The sky turned gold. Necros stumbled, and Solarius charged with the force of a newborn star. Their collision lit the world. Necrox vanished into darkness, but he wasn't defeated. He had retreated, preparing, watching, waiting. Saran approached Solarius, her eyes full of awe and fear. "You have awakened a power even the tribunal feared," she whispered. Solarius's long, glowing dreads swayed behind him as he looked toward the stars. "Then I'll master it before the eclipse returns." And hidden in the shadows of the cosmos, Necrox whispered, "The Sunborn ascends. The final eclipse begins." His dreads now stretched nearly to the ground-glowing ropes of living sunfire, and his solar ascension form still simmered beneath his skin. The world didn't know it, but the battle with Necrox had changed everything. Necrox wasn't defeated. He wasn't gone. He was preparing. And the universe felt it. 3 days after Necrox's retreat, the sun stuttered. Not darkened, not eclipsed. It stuttered as if someone were choking a star. Solarius was in flight high above the Atlantic when he felt the surge. His dreads snapped upward like living antennae, glowing white-hot. Zarin appeared beside him, her braids shimmering with cosmic energy. "Elijah, look." The sun pulsed, unnaturally bright, dim, bright, dim, like a dying heartbeat. Zarin's voice trembled. "He's feeding on it. Necrox is draining the star from the inside." Solarius felt the cosmic drumbeat, a gun deeper, darker, like war drums, echoing from beyond the void. This wasn't an attack. This was preparation. At dawn, the sky cracked, not metaphorically, literally. A massive tear ripped open above earth-dark purple. Lightning spiraled out, and a vast obsidian fortress drifted through. Its structure swallowed light. Its thrusters burned black. The people of Earth watched in terrified silence. Saren's eyes widened. The Eclipse Citadel. Necrox's war throne. Then came the sound. A metallic howl, like 1,000 dying suns screaming at once. Black armored soldiers descended, voidborn legionnaires with hollow masks and purple runes burning across their arms. Earth was under invasion. Solarius soared upward, his dreads flaring like flaming chains behind him. "Not on my world," he growled. The legions struck Atlanta first. Solarius ripped through the first wavelight beams, firing from his hands in explosive bursts, each one blasting through 10 legionnaires at a time. His long glowing dreads whipped behind him like solar whips, slicing through shadow constructs. People watched from the streets as he became a blur of gold fire. Heat vision blasting, solar energy cracking. Sonic flight booming, his dreads whipping through void armor. But for every soldier he destroyed, 20 more emerged. Zarin landed beside him, summoning a radiant spear. Elijah. The citadel is powering them. We must sever the shadow tunnel. Straight into the heart of the Eclipse Citadel. Deep beneath the solar citadel fragment Zarin had arrived in, she revealed a chamber of ancient Neurian relics. In the center hovered a massive staff of pure crystallized sunlight, the heliospire. For generations, only the Sunborn could wield it, she said, and you are the strongest Sunborn in recorded history. Solarius approached the weapon. His long glowing dreads floated upward, pulled toward the relic. As soon as his fingers touched the heliospire, a shockwave of golden light blasted outward, shaking the entire chamber. His cape ignited with roaring solar flame. His eyes turned blinding white. His dreads stretched even longer, now moving like serpents of fire. Zarin shielded her face. Solarius exhaled, steam rising from his skin. Let's finish this. He flew straight toward the Eclipse Citadel, heliospire in hand. His cape left a blazing trail of gold behind him, illuminating the dark sky. The citadel's defenses activated massive beams of void energy fired from its turrets. Solarius twirled the heliospire. It absorbed the blasts, then redirected them back with 10 times the force. The citadel shook. A voice echoed across space. So you ascend higher, Sunborn. Good. I prefer my light bright before I consume. Itene. Necrox. Solarius tightened his grip. It ends tonight. Inside the citadel's throne chamber stood Necrox, towering, armored, his eyes burning like dying stars. But he wasn't alone. He wore something new. A floating crown of shifting darkness, artifact pulsing with the power of dead suns. Zarin gasped behind Solarius. The shadow crown, forged from collapsed stars. It amplifies void absorption. Necrox stepped forward. Your dreadlocks burn brighter. Your aura expands, beautiful. Every rise makes your fall more exquisite. Solarius raised the heliospire. I'm not falling. I'm rising. Necrox's laughter shook reality. The battle was the most explosive the universe had seen since the Dawn Wars. Solarius charged first, his ascension aura ignited. His cape roaring, his dreads flaring like solar serpents. The heliospire blazed with starfire as he unleashed a concentrated beam of pure solar essence. Necrox absorbed it into the shadow crown, then hurled it back, amplified. Solarius crashed through 3 citadel walls. Zarang rushed forward, but a wave of void energy flung her aside. You cannot stop the eclipse. Solarius rose, battered but burning. That's the thing about light. It returns. He spread the heliospire's prongs, his dreads lifted, glowing almost white. The air vibrated as he gathered every ounce of solar power in the system. Zaran whispered, He's attempting a solar nova. Necrox's eyes widened. Impossible. Solarius roared, Getoutofmy sky, and unleashed a nova blast so bright it turned the entire citadel gold. When the light cleared, the eclipse citadel was cracked. The shadow crown was broken. Necrox was gone, not dead, not defeated, just gone, retreated into the deepest layers of the void. Zaran landed beside Solarius, breathless. Elijah. The nova weakened him, but it also weakened the sun. You cannot use that attack again. Solarius, his dreads still glowing wildly, looked into the cosmic darkness. He'll return. Zaran nodded grimly, and next time he'll bring the full eclipse armada. Solarius tightened his fists, his solar aura pulsing. Then I'll be ready. This universe isn't falling into darkness. His dreads whipped behind him, burning bright. The rise of Solarius had only just begun. The world had barely caught its breath since Solarius's ascension. His image was still painted on murals, and candles flickered on stoops in his honor. Children would still point skyward whenever a streak of gold cut through the clouds. Solomon had promised to be vigilant, a promise that now felt heavier than any armor. His dreads had grown impossibly long, braided ropes of molten light that trailed faint comets whenever he moved. They weren't just hair anymore. They were living conduits of the sun's will. And Zaran's warning echoed in his mind. Necrox would return. He would not come alone. It started with whispers of shadow. Satellites blinked out. Astronomers recorded static where stars once hummed their cosmic song. Fishermen reported that the night sky itself tasted wrong. Solomon felt it first, cold, rhythmic tug at the base of his skull. His long dreads rose, braiding themselves into a crown of light as if answering a silent call. Zaran found him on an old broadcast tower, his eyes reflecting distant constellations. He's coming, she said simply. The citadel foresaw it. He's bringing the armada. Solomon stared into the dawnless stretch of sky. Then we'll be there to greet them. The day began with a chill and ended with a roar. The heavens split open. From the rift spilled a swarm millions of dark ships, each one edged like a blade, powered by amethyst thrusters that drank the light. They moved as one, a living shadow, turning the sky into a hunting ground. Leading them was the Eclipse flagship, a cathedral of void stitched with crowns of collapsed stars. Its arrival was an event. Tides shifted. The magnetic poles hiccuped. Power grids staggered. And then a single, chilling message broadcast in 1,000 tongues. The projection of Necrox, taller than ruin. Purple light bleeding from his armor. Sunborn, his voice rolled across the planet. You resisted. Admirable. But light is a meal that only grows sweeter with resistance. Solomon rose like a sun unmoored. His dreads, now trailing past his knees, streamed behind him, each lock a ribbon of living flame that crackled and sang. He tore through the first wave of enemy fighters, his hands throwing white-hot blasts, his heat vision carving corridors through their formations. His dreads lashed out, shredding halls and igniting bridge cores. With each strike, a ripple of gold spread outward, opening pockets of light like healing wounds across the fleet. But the Armada adapted. For every ship he shattered, 3 more took its place. The Armada turned its teeth to the world's great cities. Atlanta became a front line. Solarius moved like a tempest over the city, his cape a river of daylight, his dreads tangling with the wreckage of falling ships. He carried survivors to safety, extinguished fires with his palms, and struck down the void-born soldiers that spilled from the dark vessels. Zarin fought at his side, her arc spears of star metal piercing the void creatures, her voice a steady rhythm of Neurian commands. Together, they severed a cruiser's supply conduit, and its grenade-like cores tumbled out, detonating in a bloom of controlled sunlight. For now, Atlanta held. In the burning wake of the flagship's advance, Zarin led Solomon to a drifting fragment of the old solar citadel. There, half buried in glass and cosmic dust, lay the heliobind, a ring of crystallized dawn. It can't destroy the flagship, she warned, but it can bind the Armada's energy field long enough to force a withdrawal. As Solomon took it, his dreads wrapped around the ring. The heliobind seared into his palms, and the light in his locks brightened, sharpening. He felt every sunflower it had ever contained. It made him smarter, faster, but it also leashed him to a responsibility that tightened his chest like a vice. He launched toward the flagship, ribbons of light streaming behind him, the heliobind pulsing at his core. Necrox watched from the flagship, a titan in void armor. They met in the void above the ship Solarius, the torch of a single world, against Necrox, the emperor of blight. They traded blows that shook satellites from orbit. Solomon struck with the heliobind, sending bands of light that forced the void shields to fail. Necrox countered with rifts of anti-light that clawed at Solomon's core. You are beautiful in your fury, sunborn, Necrox's voice echoed. You flared, I will feast. Solomon answered with a nova surge, a concentrated blast that lit the flagship's surface like a second dawn. The ship's prow cracked, but Necrox didn't fall. He absorbed the assault and threw it back, sending Solomon spiraling into the atmosphere. The armada began to falter as the heliobine's power spread. Seeing the tide turn, Necrox did what Saran had feared. He detonated a dark pulse, hurling a sphere of condensed void seed, directly at Solarius. His dreads whipped forward to protect him, sizzling and snapping as they absorbed the impact. Clutching the heliobind, Solomon threw himself into the seed, channeling every ounce of his will. The void seed imploded in a blinding flash. When vision returned, the wounded flagship was retreating. The armada, fragmented, followed it into the rift. But victory came at a cost. The heliobind had burned a channel through Solarius's solar core. His dreads, once impossibly long, congealed into heavy braids, scarred with white and gold. The world below cheered, but the sound felt fragile. Zarin landed beside him. "You held them off," she said, her voice a mix of relief and worry. "But this was only a raid. They will come again, stronger." Solomon looked at the smoking horizon. He could feel the wound inside him. "Then we prepare," he said, his dreads settling around him like a cloak of molten light. "We build a line. We train others. We learn the cost, and we pay it willingly." In the weeks that followed, the world rebuilt under Solarius's banner, united. The war was far from over. But for one sacred hour, Solarius stood on a rooftop, watching children wave flashlights at the sky. He plucked a single, small strand of light from his braid and let it fade in his palm like a captured firefly. "Hold onto the light," he murmured. And somewhere in the black between stars, Necrox listened and smiled. Night settled differently now. After the Eclipse Armada's retreat, the sky held a faint golden residue. It wasn't sunlight, but the echo of Solarius's clash with the void sea. A brilliant bruise that served as a constant reminder. Dawn was defended, but not secured. I stood atop the solar bastion, the new citadel rising over our city. My dreads, still impossibly long, flowed behind me like rivers of stitched light. The scars burned into them during the void seed implosion glowed softly, forming celestial maps, warnings only I and Zarin could read. The wound in my solar core pulsed. Some days it throbbed like a cracked sun. Tonight it was a warning. From every corner of the world, people had gathered: scientists, fighters, monks, scholars forming what we called the Solar Order. They trained in the shadow of the bastion, learning to channel microcurrents of solar energy through heliocrystals Saran had salvaged from ancient Nurian relics. For the first time, humanity could wield traces of my power. But it was risky. Recruits fatigued quickly. Some burned their hands. A few even passed out, drawing the smallest fragment of light into themselves. Still, they made progress. A young engineer named Kamari stabilized a handheld helioconduit, letting regular humans fire controlled solar blasts. A monk, Brother Imani, created a solar shield around himself that held for a full 5 seconds, a new record. I watched them from above, filled with pride, but also a coiling fear. The Eclipse Armada wouldn't hold back next time. Training wasn't enough. We needed something more. Across the rift, in the broken heart of a dying galaxy, Necrox stood before a sphere of pulsing anti-light. His remaining generals trembled at the edge of a great pit. The void seed failed. One whispered. It wounded him. Necrox corrected, and wounds invite infection. He held out his hand, and the sphere cracked open, spilling dark, heavy tendrils. This, Necrox growled, is the Umbra core, the heart of a collapsed star, inverted through time. It will carve a channel through the Sunborn's power. It will cut him from his star. His generals bowed in terror. When we return, Solarius will kneel. Back on Earth, I meditated atop the bastion's highest spire, trying to steady the burn in my solar core. But I felt something else, a pull, a whisper of metal singing across space, a forgotten heartbeat. Zaran appeared beside me, her eyes wide. You sense it? Yes, I said. What is it? Her voice trembled with reverence. The sun, Ferge. My eyes narrowed. Explain. It was the Nurians' greatest creation, a living star, imprisoned within armor. It amplifies the Sunborn beyond natural limits, but none of us ever survived wearing it. Its power requires a core strong enough to hold a star. I looked at my scarred hands, and you think mine is? I don't know, she said honestly. But the sun, Ferge, only awakens when the universe faces extinction. I stood, my cape rippling like a storm of dawn. Then we find it. The sun, Ferge, was buried deep beneath the Atlantic Trench, sealed in a Nurian vault. Zaran and I plunged into the abyss, my aura boiling the water around us. Miles down, our light hit the Volta, colossal golden sphere, inscribed with symbols that shifted like living scripture. I pressed my palm against its surface, and it peeled back like petals, revealing a chamber lit by a single hovering armor. It was black as a starless night, trimmed in solar gold and alive with the hum of a caged sun. The sun, Ferge, it turned toward me as if it had been waiting. Zaran whispered, Solomon, be careful. I stepped forward. The armor opened. It seemed to say, not in words, but in the vibration of my bones, bear the sun, or be burned by it. I entered. The sun, Ferge, sealed around me and screamed. The ocean exploded with light as I erupted upward, streaking like a newborn comet. The sun, Ferge, had accepted me, but it was not gentle. My dreads blazed brighter, threaded with strands of pure white flame. My eyes burned like two tiny suns. My cape became a sheet of living daylight. Zarin followed, shielding herself. Solomon, your core, how does it feel? I hovered above the sea, chest heaving. It hurts, I admitted, but I can bear it. I looked up and froze. The sky cracked. Rifts tore open across the atmosphere, hundreds of them spilling ships larger and darker than before. The Eclipse Armada had returned. At their center rose the flagship, restored and mutated. And above it all, hovering like a god of famine, Necrox now fused with the Umbra core. Zarin's breath stopped. Oh no. Solomon. Necrox's voice rolled across the world. Sunborn, I return not for battle, but for ascension. Veins of swirling antilight pulsed across his armor. My Umbra core will devour your star. Your light will starve. Your world will dim. My long, blazing dreads snapped back with the force of my rising power. The Sunfurge armor tightened. My solar core pulsed like a furious heartbeat. I rose to meet him. We hovered in the stratosphere. Our armies spread behind us like a cosmic mural of light versus void. I spoke first. You came for my world before. You failed. Necrox grinned, his eyes swirling black. I did not come for your world this time. He raised a hand of swirling shadow. I came for you. The Umbra core ignited. Our clash was immediate, a collision of sun and abyss that split the clouds and shook continents. And below, the solar order watched, knowing the fate of our world was now held in the burning palms of one man. The sky lost its color. The instant Solarius and Necrox collided, the atmosphere tore open in a storm of white gold and pitch black. Day and night twisted together, spiraling into a vortex that loomed over the world like a second sun, one burning, one dying. Solomon felt the Sunfurge armor tighten around him, molten hot against his skin. His long dreads whipped in every direction, blazing like comets on fire. Every lock moved with a mind of its own, reacting to his rage, his fear, his pain. Necrox barely budged. Necrox lashed forward, his fingers made of living shadow. His hand stabbed directly into Solomon's aura, cutting straight through the solar flames that surrounded him. A burning shock ripped through Solomon's chest. It wasn't physical, not even mental. It was something deeper. His connection to the sun flickered. Solomon gasped. What did you do? Necrox smiled, his teeth made of eclipse fire. The Umbra core severed your star thread. You are a sunborn cut from the sun. Solomon's solar glow dimmed. His dreads, normally endless rivers of gold, dulled at the tips. For the first time since he was a child, he felt cold, but the sun-forged armor sensed his fading power, and it did something completely unexpected. It began drawing light from within him, siphoning his remaining solar core, forcing his body to burn hotter, brighter, deeper. From the ground below, Zaran screamed. Into the comes Solomon. The sun-forge is consuming you. Stop fighting, pull back. But there was no pulling back. The armor had locked onto his very soul. Solomon roared as his eyes glowed white-hot, his dreads igniting again, longer and fiercer than they had ever been. The sun-forge refused to let him fall. If the sun was dimming outside, then it would use the sun inside. Solomon flew at Necrox with a force that cracked the stratosphere. He punched with the power of a dying star, his heat vision blazing into a spear of white flame. Necrox countered with void tendrils, trying to rip it apart from the seams. Their clash spiraled across the sky. Solar flares exploded like miniature suns. Shadow waves cut holes straight through the clouds. The earth trembled beneath their war. Solomon forced Necrox back a mile, then 10, then hundreds. But with every second that passed, the sun-forge drank more of his life force. His chest burned from the inside. His breath came like fire. His heartbeat sounded like a cracking star. Necrox saw it. "You are weakening," the Eclipse Lord hissed. "I am burning," Solomon corrected. And that's how stars kill. Below, the Solar Order activated their new heliotech. Kamari led the charge, her heliocannon glowing. Brother Imani stood beside her, hands clasped, forming a solar shield large enough to guard a small city. "Fire!" Kamari shouted. The sky erupted with dozens of controlled solar blasts. They weren't strong enough to defeat the Armada ships, but they were enough to distract them. The enemy fleet turned, redirecting their fire. The Solar Order raised their shields. Humanity held the line. For the first time in history, Earth wasn't helpless. But high above, Necrox caught Solomon's arm and hurled him upward. The two shot into space, leaving Earth behind in a streak of flame and darkness. In orbit, Necrox finally revealed his trap. The Umbra core pulsed. It released a wave of eclipse energy so powerful it blotted out the sun, not physically, but spiritually, cutting every Murian-born being off from its light. Solomon screamed. His aura shattered. His solar core dimmed to a dying ember. Necrox grabbed him by the throat. At last, he whispered, "The sunborn bleeds." Solomon's dreads flickered, then dimmed. then went dark at the ends. He could barely breathe, but even now, the Sunfurge refused to die. It began drawing the last, deepest remnant of his solar core, the part no Nurian ever accessed. And Solomon felt something awaken inside him, something ancient, something forbidden, something not of his world, but beyond it. Solomon whispered, his voice cracked. What is this energy? Zarin had spoken of it only once. A myth, a warning, a power older than suns, the primordial flame, the first fire, the spark that birthed the stars themselves. It slept in every sunborn, but none had ever awakened it without dying until now. The Sunfurge pulsed, Solomon's eyes ignited. His long dreads burst into pure white flame, glowing brighter than they ever had. You should lock a whip crack of creation itself. Necrox actually stepped back. Impossible. No. No. Sunborn, you cannot. Solomon rose, burning with the light of the first fire. He spoke, his voice layered with cosmic thunder. I am not just the heir of a shattered world. He raised his hand, his palm glowing with starlight, older than time itself. I am the flame that came before your darkness. And he struck. The blow sent Necrox spiraling across space, crashing into an asteroid that vaporized instantly. The Umbra core cracked. Just once, just faintly, but it was enough. Solomon's power surged out of control. Zarong's voice echoed through the comlink. Solomon, stop. Your body can't contain that power. The Sunfurge wasn't built for a primordial flame. It will tear you apart. But Solomon's voice was steady. If I stop, Earth falls. He charged. Necrox rose. The Umbra core flared. Light and void collided one last time. A starburst of white. A collapse of black. A shockwave that shook the moon. Then silence. Solomon floated in the void, unconscious. The Sunfurge was dim, but intact. His dreads had shortened, burned down to half their length by the primordial flame. Necrox drifted away. His armor cracked open, the Umbra core flickering like a dying heart. He whispered one final vow. Sunborn, you cannot contain that flame. When it kills you, the eclipse will inherit your ashes. And he vanished into a rift. Solomon drifted toward Earth, glowing weakly like an injured meteor. Zarin cried out, send recovery teams. Now, the Solar Order launched into the sky, racing to catch their falling sun. The world watched. And as Solomon descended, still aflame from the inside, one truth became clear. His power was growing faster than he could control, and the primordial flame would burn again.